Hi everyone, we are from Group 1 and we are going to present to you our research proposal, Support for Children with Disabilities to Gain Access to Education from the Perspective of Biopsychosocial Models during COVID-19 Pandemic.
Considerable disruption in the education system caused by the COVID-19 pandemic has disproportionately affected children with disabilities. MalaysiaNow.com reported that the nationwide temporary school closure gives students with disabilities a hard time. They have to face multiple significant challenges which may influence their academic development. Even though special education has aspired to advance the best practices to understanding, training, and instructing students with disabilities, Rain's ATP surveys show that percentage of teachers reporting that they did not have adequate support or guidance for addressing the learning needs of students with disabilities during pandemic increased from 25% in spring 2020 to 31% in fall 2020. A similar situation was captured by the survey held by the non-governmental organization Save the Children, where 85% of parents of children with disabilities in 46 countries, including Indonesia, were concerned about the lack of access, inadequate learning facilities, and the inefficient support and assistance from teachers in helping students with disabilities to achieve their full potential in school. Special educations are filled with diverse learners, reflected in their cultural, cognitive, developmental, linguistic, pre-existing knowledge, and learning preferences. Therefore, special and thorough consideration has to be given to the students to facilitate the learning and develop their full potential, either in a face-to-face teaching or in an online class. Egan, Neely Barnes, and Combs Orme propose a helpful model, human behavior in the social environment, that integrates neuroscience into instruction, emphasizing the biological basis of human development with a biopsychosocial perspective. The biopsychosocial model aims to integrate and highlight the importance of three domains that influence human growth and development. The biopsychosocial model has served as a potent reminder that the formula for the study of human development from early education cannot exclude essential variables, namely biological factors, psychological factors, and social factors include interpersonal interactions involving the person from the smallest social unit to the grandest community and their complex interactions. Accordingly, this research aims to identify essential supports required to accommodate children with disabilities in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, and Malang, Indonesia, in online-based education from biopsychosocial perspectives.
Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development (OECD) 2020 stated that children with disabilities are at risk of increased vulnerability and are less likely to receive the support and extra services they need due to school closures related to the current COVID-19 pandemic. Data show that a significant percentage of students have been lost in the process of school closures and that learning losses might be severe. A study conducted by G and Finup 2021 aimed to determine an intervention that could increase student engagement in online learning. Despite having the resources to access educational content online, some students were still not engaged in learning. This was mainly due to environmental factors. The findings of this study provide important information about how to improve the participation and attendance of students in remote learning settings. Before implementing an online learning curriculum, it is important that the students are familiar with the online resources and the learning environment. Doing so will help them gain the necessary access to the courses and the online learning platform.
Support for children with disabilities to gain access to education from the perspective of biopsychosocial models during COVID-19 pandemic. Biopsychosocial perspective deals with the environmental factors to increase facilitators and diminish barriers. During the COVID-19 pandemic, biopsychosocial model helps to rethink the health policies and system provided during the period. It also assists to protect the vulnerable people discrimination due to their vulnerability in the allocation of care of life-sustaining treatments, Leonardi 2020. In terms of education accessibility of the disabled people, CBM Australia for UNICEF East Asia and the Pacific Regional Office and UNICEF Australia has produced a document directed to UNICEF staff, education policy makers and planners in the East Asia and Pacific region. The aim of the document to provide guidance on critical consideration and action that should be undertaken to ensure an inclusive return to school for children with disabilities as children return to the school after the temporary closure of school due to the COVID-19. UNICEF East Asia and Pacific Region COVID-19 Technical Guidance 2020. Therefore, biopsychosocial model ensure that children with disabilities that always get support of staff and learning aims during face-to-face are not left behind during the pandemic since these aids are not provided at home. Reference Leonardi 2020, UNICEF East Asia and Pacific Region COVID-19 Technical Guidance 2020. Thank you.
Given the purpose of the study and its research questions, we will use qualitative research as the methodological approach for collecting data. Qualitative research seeks to uncover meaning and to promote the understanding of the experiences of the research clients. The study will be carried out in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia and Malang, Indonesia. A total of 20 participants consist of special education teachers and parents with children with disabilities will be participating in this study. We take into account several factors such as age, socioeconomic status, status of the schools, public or private, and working or teaching experience. A hybrid interview technique, combination of virtual and face-to-face interview consisting of open-ended questions will be adopted to collect the qualitative data pertinent to this study. However, as for the face-to-face interview, the interview session will be conducted in accordance with the standard operational procedures SOPs and in compliance with social distancing as an effort to curb the spread of COVID-19. The interview session will be conducted within the estimation time, which is for 45 to 60 minutes. They will be conducted according to the participants' preferences, either via online platforms, Zoom, Google Meet, Cisco WebEx, or by meeting face-to-face at preferred time and place. These are some examples of the questions that will be asked to the participants. State the types of support that you know that can be provided to children with disabilities that enable them to have adequate access to education. What kind of support have students with special needs received from the government, NGOs or parents so far? For special education teachers, how do you play your role as a teacher in providing support to students with special needs in terms of biological, social, or psychological factors for special education teachers? What kind of support have your child received from the government, NGOs, or teachers so far? For parents with children with disabilities, how do you play your role as a parent in providing support to students with special needs in terms of biological, social, or psychological factors for parents with children with disabilities? Prior to the study, we will obtain the ethics approval from the State Education Department and school organisation and written consent from all respondents. Respondents will fill out a confidential socio-demographic questionnaire before the interview. At the start of the interview, the researcher briefly explains the purpose of the study. The interviews will be conducted using Bahasa Melayu and Bahasa Indonesia. It will be easier to use those languages to communicate with the participants during the interviews. The participants are more likely to use the language in daily conversations and giving information. All of the interviews will be conducted by 1 or 2 interviewers who will make audio recordings for each session. All of the audio files will be transcribed verbatim by the interviewer. The transcripts will be sent off to the research clients so that they could check over the transcribed data. The transcripts that will be conducted in Bahasa Melayu or Bahasa Indonesia will be translated to English by the same interviewer, and the translations will be sent to another reader who is also fluent in both language, Bahasa Melayu, Bahasa Indonesia, and English language, so as to ensure an accurate translation. All text-based data will be edited and saved as text files to import into NVivo qualitative data management software. All qualitative data was coded and analyzed using the software. A thematic analysis approach will be used to extract meaningful themes from the transcripts. Thematic analysis is a qualitative data analysis method that involves reading through a data set, such as transcripts from in-depth interviews or focus groups. These are the references that we use for this research proposal. That's all from Group 1. Thank you.